Huge news out of Baton Rouge this week as Miles Brennan, who yours truly thought had a really good shot to take the first snap in game one just based on his experience and what he's brought to the table and just his loyalty to LSU, ultimately, not going to be the guy. Coaching staff told him, he said, "Thank you so much. I think I've done all I need to do here." Ends up walking away from football. Now, this is not a Miles Brennan segment, but I will just say this. I hope he's remembered very fondly in Baton Rouge because of his loyalty to this program, was recruited by a completely different coaching staff, was there under multiple coaching staffs. So I tip my hat to Miles Brennan. I hope the LSU faithful do as well. Now, as it pertains to this quarterback race right now, you got Garrett Nussmeier and you got Jaden Daniels. Both going head-to-head, mano-a-mano, just duking it out now. It is a two-horse race. Jaden Daniels, obviously the ASU transfer. Garrett Nussmeier, a guy that you were really excited about, played his way into this race in the spring, has just done a lot of things right. Now, the chatter is, at the time of this recording, the chatter is that Jaden Daniels is going to get the nod. Again, that's not confirmed, that's not set in stone, but it's leaning like it's going to be Jaden Daniels. Some of the rumors are they just like what he does with his feet and the whole new element he adds to that offense, something that Mike Denenbrock is familiar with and what he's done in previous offenses. So we'll see what happens there. Again, leaning Jaden Daniels. My stance on this remains the same. I think you will see both of these guys play. I also happen to believe that Garrett Nussmeier gives you the highest ceiling as an offense. So we'll see how that plays out. Leaning Jaden Daniels. Would be very surprised if we don't see both these guys take a snap at some point for LSU. Keeping in our theme with teams that are having a tiger as their mascot, we're going to Auburn. And last time we talked about this quarterback race down there in Auburn, Alabama, we were talking about, hey, Zach Calzada, it feels like, it's not necessarily set in stone, but it feels like it's his job to lose. They're kind of putting in things for him that are similar to schemes he ran at Texas A&M, so he's going to be comfortable, he's going to be the guy, right? And he just has to take it and run with it, right? Well, the report is that TJ Finley, who took some snaps and took some plays for them last year, started a few games for them, sounds like he's looked the best so far. So TJ Finley looked the best in the scrimmage, has taken coaching really well. Brian Harsin was saying how he loves the way that he's kind of a coach on the field and commands the offense, which is one of the main things he's looking for in a quarterback. So it's far from over. I do think, again, you'll probably see him and Zach Calzada both play. Robbie Ashford, the Oregon transfer, is a tremendous athlete. He's going to be on the field in one way or another. Doesn't sound like it'll be at the starting quarterback spot, but they'll have read option game for him. They'll have some quarterback design run for him. Too good of an athlete to leave off the field. But coming as a surprise to a lot of people, TJ Finley seems to have the ever so slight edge as it stands right now in fall camp. Now, Zach Calzada could still be getting his legs under him. Didn't really get a spring with his injury. So, again, we'll see what happens. TJ Finley is the ever so slight leader in the clubhouse at the time of this recording. Clemson has their own quarterback. I don't even want to say quarterback race. We'll say quarterback storyline because Dabo Swinney made it extremely clear at ACC Media Day that DJ Uiagalelei is our quarterback and went to bat for him in the most public way possible, said y'all have been disrespecting him, y'all been acting like he's, and I won't use his verbiage, but basically saying you guys have been saying he is not a solid player. And he came out and said, this guy's a freak. So if I'm DJ Uiagalelei, I'm feeling real good about my coach coming out and being so aggressive in his defense of me, even before these people start, asking questions. I mean, they kind of ask some loaded questions, but to have your head coach go to bat for you publicly means all the good things in the world for DJ. So that tells us that. But Brandon Streeter had an interesting quote this week from camp, and he said, pay attention to this very first part of the sentence. He said, right now, DJ is our starting quarterback. He's been solid this whole camp. Again, that's offensive coordinator Brandon Streeter. So the only thing that I sort of raise my eyebrow at is you said right now DJ is our quarterback. Why even include that? Why not just say DJ is our quarterback? He's looked great. To say right now implies that he may not be at another point in time. So don't read into this too much, but I think it's worth noting that Brandon Streeter is sort of implying that, hey, we're still going to play the best guy. And we talked to Matt Conley from Clemson Sports, the On3 site for Clemson. Go check that out if you haven't. Talked to him, and he was saying DJ's the guy, don't get it twisted, but his leash is going to be shorter than it was a year ago. Because last year, DJ Uiagalelei very publicly struggled through 10 interceptions, 9 touchdowns. Not great numbers. Not going to get it done. If he plays like that this coming season, expect there to be somebody else playing quarterback. But he said last year, DJ struggled, but there wasn't anybody else really to turn to. I mean, you go to your next guy on that roster, and they're not even able to do what DJ was doing. So he was the best guy in your locker room. If he struggles this year, we have other options, whether it be Hunter Johnson, who is the third-string quarterback as of right now, but was at Clemson, transferred to Northwestern, comes back to Clemson, and Cade Klubnik, who is a 5-star quarterback out of Austin Westlake and has been progressing very well by all reports. I mean, he's putting on weight. He is getting adjusted to the speed of the game. It's still DJ Uiagalelei's job, but they have some other people in the wings should things go south. And Clemson needs to have that quarterback position at least solid. Doesn't have to be a superstar. Doesn't have to be throwing 30 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, but you need to be solid because this team has so many pieces around him, especially on defense. This team is so good to where if the quarterback's what holds them back from their potential, I think you got to make a change. So as the quarterback, just don't be the bottleneck, I think is what we're trying to say here. But in terms of the update with the quarterback race, DJ Uiagalelei's job, Cade Klubnik is progressing. The best man will ultimately play the duration of the season. Okay, but starter for game 1 is DJ Uiagalelei. Moving on to Michigan, sort of a similar situation in some respects. Cade McNamara and JJ McCarthy are going toe-to-toe. And Jim Harbaugh has been anything but transparent when it comes to this quarterback race. He said at Big Ten Media Day, Cade McNamara is going to be really hard to beat out. Everybody grabs their pen, starts jotting that down, or starts typing away and tweeting, whatever. And then to the same token, the next sentence he says, JJ McCarthy is going to be really hard to beat out. And so I think everybody kind of had a moment where they were like, what? What is that Harbaugh for? What is the Google Translate for Harbaugh to English for that? But the feel we've gotten from our reporters at the Wolverine, which is our Michigan On3 site, go check that out. They said, as of right now, Cade McNamara is likely going to take the first snap in game 1. With that being said, they will both play. They're both going to play, okay? So you're going to see J.J. McCarthy and Cade McNamara, kind of similar to how you did a season ago. But ultimately, I think they want somebody to eventually take the reins fully. Now, J.J. McCarthy is a really good athlete and adds a whole new element to this offense with a running quarterback or a dual threat quarterback that you don't have with Cade McNamara. So maybe similar to Auburn and Robbie Ashford, you give J.J. McCarthy a couple of packages depending on how this year plays out. But all that's to say, Cade McNamara has the edge right now just because of his experience, his credentials, his skins on the wall that he already has. He's a guy that they feel like has done nothing to lose the job. And that's the tricky part about this, because when you talk about Michigan as a program, it sounds like the feeling is we have to do something different offensively than we did a year ago, just for the sheer fact that our defense won't be likely as good as they were a year ago. That's not to knock the Michigan defense. You just have less experience come back. You don't have the 2 NFL caliber edge rushers that are coming back. I mean, they're both gone to play at the next level. So do you have to score more points? And if you do have to score more points, do you have to have something more throwing the ball downfield? Because J.J. McCarthy, again, by most reports, is the more talented passer. More raw, more inexperienced, yes, but opens up the possibility of stretching the defense more vertically. So we're going to keep a pulse on that. Right now it's Cade McNamara with J.J. McCarthy still to play, but this is Cade McNamara's team. Again, I don't know how you turn your back on the guy who got you a Big Ten title and got you over the hump, but I believe Jim Harbaugh has a little more stake in the game than I do, so we'll keep an eye on that. Now, here's a quarterback race that is probably most surprising to talk about right now. Like, if you were to talk about the Texas Longhorns, the phrase quarterback competition doesn't really come to mind, doesn't really fit as well if you were looking at the camp 2 weeks ago. But by most accounts, Hudson Card has looked really, really solid these last few weeks in Austin, or at least the past couple scrimmages. They like what they have right now with Hudson Card. They feel like he's right in the thick of it. Steve Sarkisian described the competition right now as tight and healthy, saying essentially, yeah, it's close, but ultimately we're getting both of these guys better. He said he's talked to both of them individually about where they stand in the competition. He was also asked, has either of these guys done anything yet to outright win the job? Like, have they done enough to earn the job? And Steve Sarkisian just said, I don't think so. So there's a couple ways to look at this. You could look at it and say, man, Quinn Ewers hasn't taken the job by the throat. He hasn't come into Austin and be all that we thought he would be. Man, that's a bummer. We didn't hit on Quinn Ewers like we thought we would. Or you can look at the other side of this and say, wow, Hudson Card, a guy who, let's call it what it was, ended up losing his starting job last year to Casey Thompson for poor play, is now going toe-to-toe with our 5-star transfer quarterback. We said it before on this show. It wouldn't be the strangest thing ever if Hudson Card takes a jump to this year from 2021 to 2022, if he makes a big jump in progress and his ultimate production and what he brings to the table, if he just gets better over the offseason. That's what the offseason's for, folks. So I think what you have to do is just take a good look at what you have in your quarterback room and say, okay, great, we have two guys that are making it hard on this coaching staff. And competition is ultimately allowing the cream to eventually rise to the top, whoever it is. And with all, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these situations, I feel the same way about all of them. Whoever gets named your starting quarterback, I promise you, your head coach has so much stake in the game that he is making the best decision for that football team. He feels like he's putting the best guy out there to win. And we as the media or the fan bases, we only get to see snippets of this. Like, we only get to see what TJ Finley did in his starts a year ago, but what he's doing behind closed doors in fall camp is making it hard on Brian Harsin. What Hudson Card's doing behind closed doors in fall camp, he's making it hard on Steve Sarkisian. So these head coaches, like I said, with their meal ticket, depending on who their quarterback is, they're not going to just play the big name. They're going to play who's going to ultimately give them, like I said, the best chance to be successful on the field. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.